This is Acceptable Vices for July 29th, 2016. Tonight, politics. Hey everyone, this is Victor Frost, and this is Acceptable Vices. On the show tonight, we're going to be talking about politics because, well, the two conventions of the two major political parties in this country have recently passed, and, well, someone's got to talk about it. I mean, it's not like anybody else is, right, guys?
In at least one case, passed on to the world beyond.
Yeah. On the show tonight, we have Churba. Hey, Churbs.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm alright. Yeah, doing alright. Pretty fucking tired. Working late last night, but I'm still here eventually, I guess. So.
Yeah. We have George. Hey, George.
Evening, everybody.
How's things for you?
Busy.
Yeah.
Life is just busy.
Yeah. All right. We've got you back in front of the mattress again, as opposed to last episode. You're on the couch.
Yeah, I was on the couch, back in front of the mattress. You know, back where I belong.
Yep. And we've got Scott Johnson. Hey, Scojo.
Hey, looking forward to this conversation on politics.
Yeah? Are you now? Alrighty then, well, let's get to it. So we've had the Republican National Convention, which was the event that you want to go to if you want to hear about how the world's coming to an end. And we had the Democratic National Convention, which is where you go if you're ready to see a brand new glorious day for America. Isn't it normally the other way?
About how the world's going to end if you go with the other guys?
Isn't it though? Isn't it normally the other way around? It's normally the Republican National Convention that's like American exceptionalism. We're the greatest country in the world, and it's the Democratic National Convention. It's like the world needs our help. It's becoming a harder and harder place. Huh?
Well, the Republicans don't think the world needs our help. They think it's fucking scary. Let's shoot them all.
No, let's put a giant wall up and let no one in.
We're going to put a giant wall up around the border. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be great. Solar panels on it. It's going to generate tons of energy.
Tons of energy you wouldn't believe.
Pay for itself in like 30, 40 years.
Pay for itself? No. Mexican's going to pay for it, and then Europe is going to pay for it.
Why does he sound like Sylvester Stallone?
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
I don't think Victor's been listening to his own recordings.
No.
I think that would be the worst Expendables movie ever. Fucking Donald Trump as Barney, leader of the Expendables.
I would, however, pay good money to see a movie where Sylvester Stallone is playing Donald Trump.
That would be pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I would pay good money for an internet connection through which I would pirate the movie where Donald Trump is actually in the Expendables.
Telstra giving you a hard time again, Churba?
They're always giving me a fucking hard time. Though they have improved in one key area. They have finally rolled out the highly advanced technology of LTE on their phone network that's fucking broken half the time anyway.
Wow. LTE just now? Just recently?
Yeah. Like, I literally only just got the little LTE light up. That's probably wicked out of focus, but...
Yeah.
Yep.
So, on topic...
What? Topic?
So the Guardian just posted a story that was Donald Trump says he's taking the gloves off now.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was talking about punching people that punched him earlier, and it's like halfway down the article, they're like, it only became apparent halfway through his conversation that he was talking about insulting people instead of actually punching them. I was like, "Wow,
is that the same? Is that the same train of thought where he may or may not have accidentally released classified military information?"
I didn't hear about that one.
No one's given him classified military information.
Well, no, he does. He gets the security briefings now.
Yeah, I know. Did he actually say something?
Yeah,
he hasn't actually had one yet.
they say he said no. It seems that he has at some. I'm pretty sure he has. He says we pay rent for our base to Saudi Arabia, but apparently the last U.S. main military base in Saudi Arabia closed in 2003, or at least it should have.
Well, I think that's probably just a misinterpretation of like something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's more likely that he's just wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's
I don't know, Churba. I mean, he's been
Yeah.
pretty good about fact checking this entire time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Well, it
we
is hard
have.
to believe. I know, but still.
Pretty sure we actually have bases in Saudi Arabia, and that they are in fact still active.
I believe we have an airbase.
We should. Well, at any rate.
Well, anyway,
yeah.
So what I was gonna say
Please do.
was that the reason the Republican convention sounded like it was an apocalypse is that it's the problem of being the out party for the presidency, right? So and things aren't going that bad. Like they aren't going great, but they're not going that badly either, right? So I mean, there's still people that can complain about stuff, but in general, like the stock market's up, we're adding jobs every month. We're not like in a couple wars that are going hideously bad. I mean, other parts of the world aren't great, but we're not exactly losing like 300 or 400 soldiers a month in some war elsewhere.
Mhm.
So you have to paint it like it's an apocalypse and everything's falling apart. You have to be like, well, crime is getting out of control, even though crime has been going down still consistently since, the 70s. Or,
Yeah.
or actually, I would say at least by the 90s, like murder rates and stuff have dropped significantly. And, so they have to make it look like everything's going to crap, because why else would you vote for Donald Trump?
I still don't see that as quite a compelling reason to vote for him, but I see where you're coming from. If the status quo is okay in the hands of one party, why bother voting for the other?
Yeah, and I mean, people are angry. I mean, there are group places where it's not recovering, and the more you can just rile them up and say, like, look at our cities, there's these Black Lives protesters shooting cops, and illegal immigrants are streaming over our border and raping our women. Like, that's what they're trying to do.
Didn't the cop shooting guy also turn out to be a member of like a sovereign citizen movement or something?
No, he was, if I can remember correctly, the last I'd read, he was an ex-military guy who was drummed out of the military because he was, like, crazy and, like, misogynistic. And then he was, what I did read about that guy, which is kind of interesting, is that he tried to join the new Black Panthers movement, but whenever somebody wants to join one of those movements, they do an extensive background check. I never thought about like a movement, like a civil rights movement, being like, oh, you know what, we gotta background check this guy before we let him be a part of our group. Yeah. And they came up with red flags about his abuse of women, and they drummed him out, and he was blacklisted. And apparently once you're blacklisted on one group, they just blacklist you from every group.
Dang.
Yeah, I was like,
well, you know what? You can certainly commend them for doing their due diligence before letting someone in.
And plus, when you got a name that's as long-standing and famous as the Black Panthers, especially one that also has a bit of like, hey, we used to be a bit naughty sometimes in the past, like the Black Panthers.
Yeah, I mean,
it probably makes sense to background check.
Yeah, they want to keep their image keep it on the positive end. So it's probably a good way, which is actually commendable. I'm sure
you don't want to invite additional controversy by letting a wackadoodle in your group.
Yeah,
and evidently they did. They did exactly that. They let him out. They kept him away.
Well, it worked for them. Unfortunately, it didn't work for.
Yeah.
Society as a whole.
Yeah.
Yep. But so I mean, that's the problem that you run into is they had to make everything sound like it's completely falling apart. And I mean, that's not to say that there's not a lot of people struggling. Like, I was just talking to a friend of mine on text message who is a Republican generally, and she's been real resistant to jump on the Trump train because she doesn't really like him and how he talks about stuff. But she also keeps talking about how things haven't gotten better under Obama for her. And because of that, she's like, there needs to be a change. And since Clinton's trying to run as a third term of Obama, she doesn't really see that as being any advantage to her. And then and when you're struggling, you're thinking the more you're struggling to survive, the more your in group is going to shrink. Like, so it's.
Have you tried convincing her to vote Gary Johnson?
I know, right? She may. I don't know. I know, she might. I know her husband's a big Trump person, and her son and her are not like real thrilled.
Oh,
but
God, I got into a stupid argument with my husband over Gary Johnson. So she posted this article where the article said, we need Gary Johnson to win one state. Because if no one can get a majority in the Electoral College, then it goes
That's
to
not
the
how
House
it
of
works.
Representatives. No, actually, that is how it works. If there is no majority in the Electoral College, if no one gets over 270 in the Electoral College, it goes to the House of Representatives, and each state gets a vote as like a delegation, and they pick president from the 3 highest people.
Yeah.
And the article said, if we get a no majority and it goes to the House, they're going to pick Gary Johnson because the Republicans don't want Trump and they don't want Hillary, and they're going to compromise and get Gary Johnson. Like, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to put Trump in the White House immediately.
Exactly, because the House is full of Republicans right now.
It's full of Republicans, and they think they can manipulate Trump into doing what they want, and frankly, they're right.
Fucking Trump can't even manipulate Trump into doing what they want Trump.
I think what sums up Trump pretty well is that one quote from Hillary Clinton during the DNC: "A man you can bait with a tweet is not a man we can trust with nuclear weapons."
Yeah, that's really true.
Yep.
That's my biggest concern. I mean, I other than all my ideological reasons for not wanting a Republican to be president, I just don't understand. Like, I never felt. Here's the thing. I didn't vote for McCain. I didn't vote for Romney, right? But I didn't, and even George W. Bush, like, I didn't think that he would fly off some crazy handle and do something ridiculous.
You didn't think it would
Trump
start
has.
World War III.
Yeah, like they were serious or semi-serious in the case of George W. Bush. Politicians who at the very least, had someone behind them who would actually know, was pulling the strings and knew what they were doing. Cheney. But even then, I still respected their office. At the early end parts of Bush's reign as president, I was defending him actually, because I would have this Bushism calendar on my desk, and people would come up and be like, "Oh, that idiot," and I'd be like, "Well, if you talked that much in public, you'd probably have said a calendar worth of stupid things." I mean, just being on this podcast every couple of weeks, we can make a list. But
I mean, at the very least, I mean, you look at people like Bush and Bill Clinton and the previous presidents. I mean, even if you didn't agree with them policy-wise, they weren't you didn't necessarily think they were bad people, or you didn't think that they would be actually dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, and look at it this way, like George Bush, after leaving office, he could have used he had a ton of opportunities to criticize Obama if he felt like it, and he stayed out
Yeah.
all those conversations and didn't really say much at all. And in fact, pretty much said, was like, it's a tough office, it's a tough job, and like left it at that. And now you have a guy who you make a attack on him on his record, and he is trying to like just bring up all sorts of crap.
I mean, Bush, when he left office, he just fucked off and went to go painting.
Yeah.
He didn't. It's like he was when the job was done. The job was done. It's somebody else's problem now.
Yeah.
And I see that if Trump got in, I feel like he would blame every single problem he ever has to face on Obama the entire time.
Well, no, he's not going to blame it all on Obama. He's going to blame it on everyone and everything.
Everyone and
Except
everybody else.
him.
Yeah. It'll be George W.
Except
Bush. It'll be Clinton. It'll be George Washington. It'll be like Lincoln. He's just gonna go down the list of like anytime something goes wrong. He'll be like
1 year later. 1 year later, Fox will be reporting, we've never seen a president with as low approval ratings as this. Can you get -% approval ratings?
No, he'll always have 30%.
Here's the thing: is he can't actually nuke anyone. Thankfully he can't launch nuclear weapons by himself. That's just the rules
but
he made
I'm
up
just saying,
for nuclear
but
weapons.
I would like to note that he needs a Secretary of State, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he appoints a Secretary of State.
Well, they have to be confirmed by the Senate.
Yeah, but he could still put most of the time people.
I know what you're saying. I know what you mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, he could put. But I like to think that anyone he will pick is going to have enough sense to go, no, we're not nuking Russia. No.
No, he won't nuke Russia. Putin, he really admires Putin. He's not going to nuke Russia.
He admires Putin now, and then he's gonna. Putin's gonna take him to the. Yeah, Putin's gonna take him for a ride, and then he's gonna want to nuke Russia.
All right, so the tone of the RNC.
But in all seriousness, he can actually order our military to do pretty much anything for 90 days. Like that is within his power as president.
For 90 days, that's what we get.
No, that's the rules. After 90 days, Congress has to authorize it. But for 90 days, he has, free reign to do anything he wants.
Here's a funny thing, though. I mean, isn't that how we kind of got in? We kind of ended up going into Libya. I mean, we pretty much started doing an air campaign, and then when Congress was supposed to re-up it 90 days later, they tossed the football. They decided not to do anything, and it kept going because they wouldn't say no or yes because they were afraid. They were being, spineless. They didn't want to voice support for something that Obama was doing, and they didn't want to actually stop what he was doing either because that would get in the way of their general, blow stuff up and, whatever. So, I mean, regardless of whether you thought Libya was right or wrong, which, obviously looking back, it kind of sucks, but, take out a dictator and let the people fend for themselves, I guess, right?
Right.
The problem you're going to have is that if Trump does something, will Congress be, if it's all Republicans, which if Trump wins, the chances are both houses stay in Republican control, who would stand up to that? Would they just let it go because they don't want to, stop them, or they just kind of punt it like they've done in the past? And they've been punting ever since. Like, they really have not... they have not stepped up.
We have a bit of a do-up in Congress at the moment.
Yeah. So I mean that's why you got to be afraid of a Trump presidency. It's kind of scary in that respect.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's utterly terrifying.
So let's talk for a minute about perhaps one of let's talk for a second about perhaps one of the biggest unexpected headlines to come out of the RNC.
Before you do, I've got a quick break in.
Right.
I did a quick bit of research on that supposedly classified information that Trump shared. Yeah. That's not classified in any fucking way, and it also is wrong. We don't. Well, but there's no U.S. military bases in Saudi Arabia right now. However, there are Saudi bases that used to be American bases that America still pays some rent on, so that they can
For
use them
some
as like
reason.
staging and refueling areas.
Okay.
And there's also one base, Eskin Village, where they maintain an actual personnel presence for training purposes.
Oh, okay.
So basically, he doesn't know how to read a spreadsheet.
Mr. Businessman does not know how to read a spreadsheet.
Oh, come on. Mark Cuban came out and said that, yeah, I think the reason Trump's not putting out his tax returns is because if we actually look at it, Hillary Clinton is probably a better businessman than he is.
Well, considering that Hillary Clinton pays more in tax than Donald Trump made last year,
yeah,
I'd say that might be correct.
Yeah.
So what was the headline you were going with?
The headline that the unexpected headline, because of course there's the normal stuff that happens at these conventions for the political parties, being that Cruz kind of fell on his own sword in going up on stage and in the end not supporting Trump and telling everybody to vote with their consciences.
Yeah, it's always
kind of unexpected to me. Maybe not to you, who's more politically versed than I, but that seemed kind of unexpected.
I expected. I mean, I'm used to. I'm cynical on these topics. I usually expect that the high up Republicans would eventually fall in line, like a lot of them have. But so when Cruz actually. But Cruz is kind of a dick. So I mean, you can't really expect.
Cruz is kind of a tremendous psychopath.
Yeah, like so you if you're gonna see something like that, you're gonna see it from him, and it was kind of like one of those situations where you're watching like two kaiju like fighting each other over a city, and you're like, well, I'm actually, one of them, I'm kind of feeling proud that they stood up. But I kind of want them both to destroy each other.
To be perfectly honest, I expected Ted Cruz to stab Trump in the back. What I didn't expect was Ted Cruz to stab Trump in the front, looking him in the eye while going, "Take it, Donald, take it."
That is true. I mean, like,
that was great. It's like telling somebody telling somebody you hate them right at their own birthday party. That's kind of what it's like.
In all seriousness, though, props for stabbing Trump in, like, the face.
The most public way possible.
Just like, I give no fucks.
Yeah, but did you see...
you? You need to die.
Did you the even weirder part of that moment, if you watch it on video, and if you watch it from, like, a camera that's, like a dynamic camera, is... Cruz delivers the vote your conscience, and the crowd starts booing. And at that moment, they look up at the stand, like the VIP section, which has like Trump's kids, and they're kind of like doing, this like, oh god, like, or sort of like, I don't even know. They seem to be like the Trump Jr.'s like giving a thumbs up to somebody, but I'm not sure exactly. I thought somebody was gonna I don't know, shoot Cruz or something at this point. But from the other end of
the signal is now.
Like, hey, take him out. No, but the thing that's crazy is from the other side of like the stadium, Trump enters the room and like starts walking out like a WWF match, and like the crowd like starts cheering at that moment, and they're boo cheering. Like there's booing from the people from the Cruz speech, and then there's cheering because Trump's entered, and I was really expecting him to grab a chair and like throw it at Cruz and like just like start beating each other up. It's just one of those weird moments where you're just like, is this really a political like convention? Because this is not really what I expected to see.
Cruz would have kicked Trump's ass.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like.
Well, because he's the Zodiac Killer. He has experience in these sorts of things.
Yeah. I mean, his dad. Oh, and then on top of that, Trump has a press conference the next day, and talks about the dad's relationship with the killer, with Kennedy's
JFK's
killer again,
assassin, yeah.
JFK's assassination again, and says like,
Oh.
well, I wouldn't want his endorsement anyway.
Then
And he's
why'd
all
you
like a
let him
petulant.
on stage?
And he's like, well, I read the speech. I just didn't care because he's nothing to me. And you're just like, what the F is going on with you? Like, who? Like, you could just tell that campaign. I just don't. I mean, you know how like in West Wing they're like, let Bartlett be Bartlett, right? And that was like
Right.
the winning. That was like the winning strategy for the West Wing was we need to let Bartlett be Bartlett. And you feel like the campaign manager's like, don't let Trump be Trump. Why are we letting Trump be Trump?
It's like, oh no, he's trumping again. Stop him.
That has to be a verb inside the Trump campaign. Oh God, he's trumping.
Can you just imagine what it's like to be a Trump surrogate at this point? It just Ryan Preface or whatever his name is, Reince Priebus, the RNC guy. He's got to be like, man, they do not pay me enough, but don't worry, I get enough good kickbacks. You know, like he's like, like why would you keep that job? I would just like immediately as Trump became like the nominee, I'd be like, well, I'm stepping down.
I cannot. It's just.
Well, hey, you know what? I thought
so much of that convention, and I feel like, and you know who I really feel bad throughout that entire convention? The NPR and PBS people who were covering it up in their booth up high in the convention in the convention, because there were times when they were interviewing people, and you could tell, like there was this one guy they were interviewing that says, yeah, but he says all these horrible things about women. That's like the literal definition of sexism. Are you comfortable supporting a candidate like that? And some guy just says like talks in circles around that, and you can tell they're like, you dense motherfucker.
Well, I thought your headline that you want to talk about is how Michelle Obama spoke at both conventions.
That is I'd forgotten that. Yes, that's true. Yeah, Michelle Obama, the first lady to speak at both parties' to have her words at both parties' conventions, courtesy of Melina. Is that what is Trump's wife's name? I can't even remember. I want to say Mylena, but I'm pretty sure that's a character from Mortal Kombat.
It's
right the first time.
It's Ivanka. I thought it was
Melania Trump.
Melania. Yeah, I'm always confused.
Ivanka is their kid.
Ivanka's a kid. Yeah, the poor liberal kid who gave. You know, the other funny thing is she gave a speech that pretty much should have been at the DNC. Like it was like he believes in all these liberal values, like going through like like childcare and all this stuff, and it's like, wait a minute, are you at the right convention?
Yeah. And
I mean,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say she had to change her party to even vote for him in the primary because she was already she was registered a Democrat.
Didn't half of Trump's family not, make the party change in time?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
they did not, which is the funny part about New York's crazy amount of time you need to register. But we talked about that in a prior episode of Friday Night Party Line.
Yeah. And then Melania's website was taken down because apparently on it noted that she got an architecture degree from Ljubljana in Sevnica in Slovenia, and apparently she didn't. And then the entire website went away.
Yeah, I mean obvious. Is that really the most surprising thing?
Not in the But I typed in Melania Trump to have Google fix my spelling of it, and that was like the first article under the in the news section.
Yeah, let's just say that the RNC was kind of a dumpster fire.
It was. Oh man, the DNC, however, that was kind of awesome to watch. I mean, the RNC was awesome to watch because of it seemed like so much went wrong during it. But the DNC was kind of amazing. I think a lot of the Bernie supporters have come around to support Hillary during the course of the convention.
I hope so. I mean, that was a lot of the focus during the whole week.
Yeah.
I was actually going to go down to the convention, but I ended up not because it was like 98 degrees like the whole week, and I was like, screw this.
Oh, poor baby.
Brutally hot on the East Coast.
Well, it's 98 degrees with like 80% humidity. That's the real problem.
Yeah, it was bad.
But so
Michelle Obama's speech
was really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
she has seemingly not aged a second.
Yeah, she's done a really good job of not aging.
Yeah.
well, that's why she's focused on health the whole time. She's been eating
Exactly,
right.
that's
She's been eating
it.
from the White House garden. You know, she's been working out.
She needed to give
Meanwhile,
some of that
Obama's
magic.
turning into the fucking crypt keeper.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like sapping his youth away.
I always felt. I always feel
I've watched
Bill Clinton.
enough presidents do this that I know it's just the job.
Yeah.
It is hard.
It's also 8 years of aging in your at
8
home
years
when
of
you're over 50.
aging.
When you're
8
over
years
50,
yeah.
but you change a lot. Like you stay kind of stable between like 25 to like 40 something, and then at some point you start hitting like a little bit of a wall.
Yeah. And then but then it's not only just 8 years of being the president, but 8 years of being the president and having 2 daughters.
Yeah, right.
Thinking of myself when I was younger, I don't think I would describe myself as anything remotely approaching stable.
I'm talking about your looks.
Looks.
Which
We
are
already
still in
know
their
you're
prime.
psychologically questionable, Churba.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, here's the other crazy thing, and this is kind of a comparison to the DNC to the RNC. You know, you had the DNC, which had like Obama, Clinton, Michelle Obama, Biden. You had like all these past vice
Sanders.
presidents and presidents,
Sanders,
current
too.
Sanders. I mean, yeah, you have the primary opponent who endorses the person who gets the nomination instead of stabbing them in the back horribly, which is what I think some of the California delegation thought might happen, but they were probably disappointed from their boos. But yeah, I mean, that's the other crazy thing that no one. I mean, you can't get Republicans to really talk about, which is their past nominees and their past presidents have not endorsed their current nominee. The only one
None
that
of them.
has, there's 2 that have. There's Dole, who I'm pretty sure has kind of like lost his rocker at this point. And then there's McCain, who McCain is like McCain's like so sad to think about. Like, here's a guy who Trump said like, I don't like people who I don't like military veterans who get captured. I like the ones that don't.
Because he got
Yeah.
captured. It's
Yeah, I
like,
like my war heroes who are heroes and not just because they got captured and tortured. It's like, you know what? Are we allowed to curse in this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I try not to. But fuck you. Like, really? Like,
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, I don't have as much respect for McCain as I used to, but I always respected him on that level, and the fact that he was usually, a gentleman in terms of stuff. When people would like talk bad about Obama, he'd be like, look, to attack the guy's policy, but the guy's, a good father and an upstanding person. Like,
Yeah.
he was classy. And the thing is
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed that he endorsed Trump, because he's the only one of like the living nominees, other than Dole, who's like 90-something and kind of rumbling around, who has. I mean, neither Bush. Romney was actively trying to find some way of like, taking him out. I mean, he ended up. I'm sure. I think he said he's voting for Gary Johnson at this point. Yeah, and I mean, like, Ted Cruz, the guy you're running against, won't endorse you. It's just has there ever been a time where that has happened? Like, I'm not really sure.
No.
I think the last time that happened, I think the two candidates ended up shooting at each other in a duel.
No, well, I was going to say the last time that this happened in a significant way was Goldwater, probably.
Yeah.
And in that case, the Republicans lost in a landslide afterwards. So hopefully that'll happen. Of course, Goldwater inspired Ronald Reagan, which caused the Reagan Revolution later. So, I mean, sometimes, you dodge one bullet to get hit with another.
I love how on the RNC when Trump's on stage, what was it? What did they play? You can't always get what you want.
Yeah.
It's a little bit on the nose there. A little bit, just a little bit.
I thought that was a joke. I didn't catch the opening, so I really thought that was not. That was somebody making a joke. That's came in. Did he actually?
Yes.
Because I did not see that beginning part.
That was how they
really
played out the convention.
Why the hell? Why the hell would you put that song?
It's gotta be
one
Trump.
One of my
going. I own you, people. That just has to be him doing that.
Yeah, that is something he would do. But we're not getting what we need. We're getting Trump.
Oh my goodness! It's just what a cavalcade of madness.
Yeah,
You got-
apparently
you know what-
during
you know what
during
go
an
ahead,
event
Trevor.
during an event on the Tuesday night, the campaign used Rolling Stone's "Start Me Up," and then multiple times through the convention, but notably for the entry music for Trump, they used "You Can't Always Get What You Want," 1969, the Rolling Stones.
No, you know what? That's not. No, Trump didn't pick that.
No, he did not pick that.
Yeah, some aide did, and they were trying to put out a message, and that message was.
That message was well received.
Here's the thing is, I don't think an aide picked that. I think Trump did. Because I seriously think he picked that song. Guy's like, I like this song. I want this to be my song. Like, did you listen to it?
I liked it. I liked it. I don't- the words are great. What are you talking about? This is the best song ever.
There are many words. The words are great. The music is tremendous. We're gonna play this song.
Did you get the rights to this song? No.
No.
Yes, they did. They didn't get the rights from Rolling Stones, the band, but do you really think that the Rolling Stones own that fucking song?
No.
No, it's the record company who they
Of
got permission
course.
from because they waved a giant fucking wad of cash at them.
Here's the thing is, I don't... There's been a lot of times where he's used music that he didn't get any permission for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, not just him. It's like all political, but it's become more of an issue because all the artists seem to hate Trump. And he keeps using their songs, and they're like, stop it. Stop using our songs.
We don't like you. Stop.
Well, let's switch gears slightly and talk about Hillary Clinton because we've focused on Trump, obviously,
right.
but the real significant
that's a
person
problem. Yeah.
in this is that Hillary Clinton did what?
First woman to get the nomination of a major political party in the United States.
Exactly.
Yeah. Quite excellent. And excellent indeed. My favorite part of the entire DNC was the roll call. I was so entertained by the roll call the entire time. And it was just so amazing to me that each state sends their own happy little delegation in there to go and cast their votes for the amount of give the numbers for the delegates for it. And I found out that the United States has some territories that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah. Yeah, but you weren't paying attention. We were going through all the primaries earlier, Victor. You should have known.
No, but I mean like the Northern Mariana Islands.
We talked about that in a show.
Yeah.
Did
Because
we?
I was bitching that most of them don't get a vote.
Yeah, I didn't even know they existed. Apparently, this one, it was the very first time they did get a vote in the roll call, and I very swiftly looked them up on Wikipedia, and I learned a lot about the Northern Mariana Islands that night.
Dude, we're like an empire, dude. We got all these crazy little islands everywhere.
It's true, don't we? I think the Federated States of Micronesia are kinda ours.
No, some of them are protectorates of the United States.
Yeah.
The sun never sets on the American Empire, is what you're saying.
Well, it hasn't yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought it was I was really kind of confused when Vermont decided to skip, and then as soon as I realized, oh, they're going to go last.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really classy move Sanders did. I thought that was just really classy.
I thought Sanders throughout the whole convention was extremely classy. From him, doing the nomination to giving like a really good speech to going to his delegation that was unruly in California and pretty much being like, stop it, guys. Like, stop it.
Cool it. Like he did a lot to in the name of party unity during the entire convention.
I gotta admit, I felt a bit sorry for him though, because there were a lot of moments where he looked quite a bit like Dr. Frankenstein trying to control his creature. Just like, oh shit, what have I done? This is not going well.
There were moments during the convention that he legitimately looked like he was about to cry. And I don't mean the moments like where his brother did the votes for citizens living outside the United States. Yeah. I thought there was moments where he just seemed like he really upset about the whole thing.
Well, I mean, you know.
He lost.
Yeah.
And he didn't lose by that. I mean, I know we've said it before. It's like, oh no, he lost in the last slide, but he locked up 40% of the vote. It's a respectable turnout for not the party favorite.
Yeah. 10% more and it would have been a dead heat. So yeah. And he did a lot to move the platform. I love how in all the episodes about politics we're like, yeah, there's no way Bernie's gonna win, and then suddenly now we all seem to be a bit reticent about him.
Well, we're not. We didn't. I think a lot of us actually want Bernie Sanders America. We just recognize that it isn't going to happen this go round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Bernie Sanders. I just thought that he should have conceded at a time when it was realistic that he was not going to win the nomination.
Yeah.
So that his supporters wouldn't go down the crazy conspiracy lane that they ended up going because they pushed, like this fight. And so now I'm in all these freaking conversations because of those DNC emails that where they're like, well, it was rigged. Like now they're like, well, this just proves that Arizona, California, and New York we're all states that
we're all
rigged. And I'm just like, dude, that none of that is in any of the emails. Like the inane BS that's in those emails is barely like most of it is people coming up with crazy ideas and the chair shooting them down.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about the election being rigged, what you want to look at is the voter disenfranchisement due to voter ID laws in a lot of those states.
Yeah, well, it's like a guy I was arguing with online. He's like, well, Arizona shows. I'm like, well, Arizona is because the Supreme Court overturned parts of the Voters' Rights Act, which made it so that they had to provide a certain amount of voting machines to minority districts. And the county that they had all the problems in Arizona was a county run by Republicans, and the area was a majority Hispanic area, which
Surprise, surprise.
They cut the voting machines from like 160 to like 60. And then they wondered why there was giant lines there. And then the Sanders and Clinton campaign both filed suits about it. And yet there's these people who just cannot get it through their head that like the DNC doesn't control how many voting machines appear in a particular precinct.
The DNC doesn't even control the voting process. That goes down to the local level.
Here's the funny thing, is that these people are going like, oh yeah, the election's rigged, we've got proof. Not only have you apparently found proof, I say with air quotes so big that you could put them around the Hollywood sign and they'd look comedically large.
The Hollywood sign is actually not that big, but point taken. Go on.
Big enough to see from a distance. Anyway. Freaking... If you've found that evidence, you've somehow found evidence that literally every journalist in political journalism has somehow failed to find after very detailed and rigorous analysis of every single email that was released by Russia, WikiLeaks.
Oh, you'll appreciate this. So this guy like posted all these emails and was like, look, this one is the evidence that they wanted to pull an MSNBC clip, and they pretty much sent an email to them, and they pulled the clip, and it says and I looked at the email, I was like, okay, well let me look at this email, and the email's like, hey, that clip on MSNBC, could you pull it? I'd like to get the transcript as soon as possible. I'm like, they're pulling a recording of it so they can get a transcript. It's like not pulling the clip that was on the channel already. Like, come on, guys.
How media people
and while we're at it, there was that person that said we should pull Building 7. Don't you know that pull it always means demolish something?
It's like, come on, guys. And the other problem is those emails.
The gesturing Sherber was doing with his finger there.
These emails come out in like April and May, like generally after the New York primary, and after it's pretty apparent that Sanders was not going to win, but they stepped up their attacks on the DNC on all these topics. So I just don't understand. It's like, what, the DNC is supposed to just sit there and get attacked by a campaign and not like even try to think of maybe a counter, how they should actually respond to it. And in all those cases, they decided mostly to just deny whatever and just ignore it. It's like there wasn't like some crazy nefarious plan.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget, Sanders himself, the person with the most to gain from proving the election was rigged, is going, yeah, no, it wasn't rigged. We just lost. His fucking press manager is going, yeah, no, fuck it. The election wasn't rigged.
We lost, guys. We lost.
His strategists, fucking people in the campaign at every level are going like, yeah, no, we just fucking lost, guys. Calm the fuck down. And meanwhile, these people are just like, fucking, elections are rigged, emails.
Oh, I got into this argument with this guy on Facebook. It was bad.
And then, of course, we get to the whole fact that Russia. And
let's talk about that.
Oh, yes.
Sherba, take it away.
To Russia?
Yeah.
Yes, to Russia. Take it away to Russia.
Hack this conversation.
Hack this conversation.
comrade. Okay, so basically what happened was that around early May, there were rumors going around that the DNC had been hacked. By late May, that was confirmed. And people were going, oh yeah, look, the DNC's been hacked. The DNC comes out and goes, yeah, we've had an intrusion, we don't know what's up. And then Guccifer 2.0 specifically, came forward saying like, yeah, we hacked the DNC, haha. Which was a bit of a mistake because by that point it was pretty well known in the InfoSec community that Guccifer 2.0 was basically just a Russian front op and was not actually a discrete person. And after that, we also discovered, well, I say we, but I'm not an InfoSec person. It's just it's how I talk.
That we know of.
It's the royal we.
Yes, it is the royal we. So, so anyway, we the people, discovered that fucking. Turns out there's a lot of other stuff, like a bunch of shared SSL certificates, a bunch of computers and documents that had been edited on Russian language machines. All sorts of little details that have added up to, well, it's not precisely concrete, direct evidence that's a big neon sign that says this was Russia, but there's two kinds of evidence here that are kind of importance. One is that we have enough circumstantial evidence that it's kind of outlined a big picture that says Russian hackers, kind of like a Looney Tunes character busting through a wall. Like that fucking part isn't there, but it's pretty clear from the outline what was meant to be there. And the second thing is what's called carpet walker tracks. Like, say you're tracking someone over dry sand, it's pretty easy. They leave footprints, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go all budget fucking snowshoes with some carpet squares, and it gets rid of your footprints on the dry sand when, walking through the desert or whatever. The only problem is that's still reasonably trackable because it disrupts the natural pattern that you expect to find in the sand. So instead of tracking the thing, you're tracking the absence. Because, nature abhors a vacuum, and the only time that there's nothing is when someone's trying to cover their tracks and deliberately deleting everything. There's a lot of tracks like that leading around this, and they all track pretty well back to Russia, so...
I thought you were going to say they tracked back to Hillary.
Yes, they track back to Hillary, who is actually Vladimir Putin's illegitimate love child.
It would make a lot of sense.
It would make no sense.
Well, think about it.
No!
Think about it.
You think about it.
What also was really funny is then Trump responds because he has to instead of just being like shutting up and not saying stuff.
He only had to say 5 words.
Yeah,
Russia did not hack Hillary. That's it.
No, he doesn't even have to say that. He can blame it on Russia, but he has to just say, it is really wrong to have foreign actors operate within our election, and try to manipulate us, and that's all he had to say, and just end it there. But no, he goes, well, I don't know Putin
Russia,
at all. He's like, I don't know Putin. Yeah, well, no, yeah. First, he's like, well, Russia, if you're listening. I mean, the media
try to
will
find
really,
the other 30,000 emails.
Yeah, find these other emails. The media will reward you. And then he writes a tweet like a little while later that like kind of changes those words a little bit to make it sound less crazy, which is funny because I had my dad. My dad actually tossed me. Yeah, well, he tossed me back the tweet saying, "This is all he said. This doesn't sound crazy." And I'm like, "No, Dad. Listen to what he actually said, not what he tweeted like a couple hours later. Like it's like he was actually saying, just telling him to actually do it to get rewarded." But the point is he didn't need to. He didn't need to do that. He could have just said, "Man, hacking is really bad. We should not do that." But he couldn't do that, obviously. He also was like, "I don't even know Putin. I've never met him." And then, of course, there's like at least 3 or 4 interviews where he's been like, "Yeah, I met Putin. We're like best buds, like a few years ago." And then you're like, "Okay, right?" I mean, like, why don't you just say, "I've met Putin a few times, and that's it"? But now he has to deny that he's had any interaction with Putin.
First he's going, "I hope Putin senpai will notice me." Now he's going, "Putin senpai is a baka." Is what he's going.
So what you're saying is that Donald Trump is tsundere and totally moe.
Yep.
This shit would sink any other presidential nominee.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is possibly the first presidential campaign where we've had a candidate literally advocating for international espionage against the United States. Because let's not forget, as much as people say, "Oh, Hillary's emails," they're not Hillary's fucking emails. They're the State Department's emails.
Right.
Hillary Clinton
Yeah.
just...
Yeah.
This is the
Clinton
first
wrote
time.
Oh,
a
she didn't
few
even
of
write
them.
them, really. There were
I
people
mean-
working for her, but, semantics.
I
Yeah,
mean,
she wrote them. She had a BlackBerry. She's,
I gotta check.
I've had many Blackberries.
They're delicious.
Okay, enough of that.
Enough of that. It's too silly.
It's just like every day. The people that I know that are.
See the warning signs. Putin likes him. Kim Jong Un likes him.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just
dictators
like
around the
Orchard
world like him. He compliments the Chinese on Tiananmen Square as a great way of, taking a protest down. I mean, what's he gonna do next? Say Hitler was really good at organizing camps? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's next. What
It's
are
just-
we gonna have as the over and under on that one?
I just can't understand.
He sings the songs, and the choir sings along. That is the scariest part. Not that he's saying
Yeah.
it, but that the
Yep.
choir is singing right along with him.
Exactly.
If Trump says, we should probably look at China and get a big firewall just like them. The next thing you know, there are going to be Republicans going, you know what? Maybe freedom of speech isn't a good idea.
Yeah. I know people who are big Trump
Yeah.
supporters, and I don't know how. Like,
Do you
there's just
remember when we
one.
were talking about this?
But I mean, like, let's look at it this way. Like, let's say you're a hardcore Republican. Like, okay, let's say Clinton is a horribly flawed candidate who you can't trust because of her secret emails, and like she's taken money from banks or whatever. You know what? She still actually has a whole bunch of liberal ideas that you can back. Trump, you can't even be convinced. Like, let's say your big issue is abortion. You can't even be convinced that he's one way or the other on that issue. He's been on every single side. He said statements definitively in every direction, and he changes his story every couple minutes. Like, how can you be definitive on anything he says?
Scott, you remember when he clinched the nomination 2 months ago, and I was talking about how he's Teflon, and you said, no, it's over now. They're gonna start looking at him now. He's still fucking Teflon. Nothing sticks. This guy defies all political logic.
That's why I'm taking August off of politics, because until we get to a debate where they'll just sit there and you'll have them both standing next to each other and you'll be like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, that's, I hope that someone has, like, a whole bunch of people have a come to Jesus moment or whatever where they're just like,
I think that's where the
Whoa.
undecideds are going to decide, but I don't know, because he's still Teflon, and he's going to get in that debate, and he's going to yell louder than Hillary Clinton, and the people who are his supporters are still really going to like that he's yelling at Hillary Clinton.
And if Hillary yells back, they're gonna they're gonna go and start saying that, oh, look at that, see, she's being such a bitch or something,
Yeah, they'll be like,
it's
she's
oh, she's
shrill.
so
They'll say-
unladylike.
They'll say
One
shrill.
of those things that's been
Shrill.
driving
There you go.
me nuts.
Yeah, it'll be shrill.
Because the only thing
Oh.
Hillary Clinton is guilty of is being a good politician and a woman at the same time. She is
Well,
not
actually-
conniving and crazy, or she is not manipulative any more than any other politician. She is just doing it while she's a woman, and apparently that's not okay.
Just swing away from the Republicans for a moment. Speaking of crazy, it seems that there is two kinds of Bernie supporters now.
Yeah.
There's the kind who have basically gone, yeah, you know what, look, it's a shit sandwich, but I'd rather have a shit sandwich than a fucking Colombian necktie.
Do you know what a
So,
Colombian
I will-
necktie is?
Yes, I do. Exactly.
Oh God! Why are you bringing that up? Don't Google that, people.
Yeah, actually, don't unless you've got a bit of a strong stomach.
Yeah.
But anyway, like fucking, because I'm seeing the ones who are like, yeah, look, it's a shit sandwich, but there's times where you just got to eat a shit sandwich because the alternative's worse.
Yeah.
Those people, they're pretty good. Good on you for having a bit of spine and a bit of fucking intestinal fortitude and like actually standing for what Bernie stands for.
Yep.
Then you've got the people who are fucking crazy. I've seen people who are like, oh, we need medical professionals to check Hillary because look at this video, and it's a clearly edited video where they have grabbed footage, rewound it, and then played it forward again to make Hillary look like she's having a fucking seizure and going, oh, she clearly has medical issues, she's unfit for office, we should get Bernie. I'm like, you're not getting Bernie, guy.
Bernie's done.
Even Bernie knows that Bernie's done.
Hey,
Bernie didn't know he was done. He still went to the primary in D.C.
I was pretty impressed that Hillary brought up Sanders a lot during her speech at different moments. Like whenever she changed into a topic that was a Sanders topic, she name dropped Sanders in that moment, and
it was classy work.
I thought it was actually a lot. Actually, she mentioned him at least 3 more times than I expected him to be mentioned.
Though I must admit,
it's kind of like watching an episode of The West Wing. There's just beautifully orchestrated political circuits. It's like, how does this just all happen the way it's supposed to happen?
Yeah.
I've never seen someone look more embarrassed to be on camera and called out, though, than when she initially said, oh, and thank you, Bernie Sanders, and like the camera fucking switches focus over to him sitting in the seat next to his wife. He looked like he wanted to crawl in a hole and pull it in after himself. He did not want to be in that seat right there on camera. Like, I think he was thankful that she was willing to thank him in the public speech, but I think he could have done without the cameras because, like, you can just gradually see him, like, kind of getting smaller and smaller as the camera focuses on him longer and longer. Because that was simultaneously being put up on the big screens. He knew where they were focusing.
Yep.
It's like you're in that makeout cam at like a sports game or whatever, and you're like,
I just had a thought. What if, like, Clinton appoints him to be the Secretary of Labor?
I mean, that would be a good spot possibly to go to, but I think. I think he's probably fine. And, you know, it's funny. One of my Bernie or bust people was like, "Well, I might consider Clinton if she started to say that she wanted Sanders to be the Senate Majority Leader." And I was like, "Well, I guess you're still going to be a Bernie or buster."
Yeah.
Because I was like, "That is some crazy dreaming." Like, she doesn't really get to pick who's going to be the majority leader, and B, there's no possible way that the people in the Senate are going to be like, oh yeah, sure, why not? Chuck Schumer's going to be like, sure, like just take it. I didn't want it. Like, what's going on?
And let's be honest here for a moment. Like, we didn't want Bernie to be president for much the same reasons we don't want him to be the Senate Majority Leader. Organizing a political party is not really his bag.
Well, there's this great political podcast called The Weeds. I don't know if you guys, any of you listen to it, but they were talking about the way that we run for office in the United States and how it's very like masculine, and it focuses on a lot of like traits that we breed into men. And try to tell women that's not great. And it's kind of like what you were talking about, how like Clinton like shored up the primary, early by building a large coalition. She built this, group of people that supported her and were in her camp already. And that's like traditionally what you would consider to be like more of a like a feminine quality or whatever. We're talking about like generalizations here right now. I don't actually believe it's that way. But yeah. So I mean
that's not a feminine quality.
Yeah, well but she gets hammered. There's the things in politics that you get hammered for are the stuff that traditionally, like, you would
Yeah.
put a role for like a female are what we don't actually select for.
Yeah.
And so that's the
Not in the
problem.
political process. And
Yeah,
so basically,
she's-
she's getting hammered for being unladylike. And I mean, no one has said it outright, but all the people who have these are like, oh, she's done this, she's done that, all these things that she's manipulated, all these, like, she's a politician. She is just doing things politicians do.
Yeah, she got hammered by that when she was the first lady for taking
Yeah.
control of policy and actually working instead of just sitting there and like taking in guests and wearing nice dresses. She's a business person. She's a policymaker.
Bill and
mean,
Hillary Clinton are, policy nerds in love, or what? I don't know, whatever they call whatever they're.
We got a couple of things to get to before we close up shop for this episode. One thing, I mean, it's just like it's been completely baffling me is that how many Bernie or busters are still calling for Hillary Clinton to get arrested. I mean, it's not like she's like Ryan Bundy or anything.
That was a really good segue. I like that. But anyway,
Way to break the magic, Churves. I was hoping you'd just pick it up
just
super
like, the ball
smoothly.
just, the layup was there, and the ball just up and fell.
I blame you, Churba.
Oh no, it didn't fall. Like, Victor went for the layup. It's like perfectly arcing for the basket. And then I've just jumped out of nowhere like Magic Johnson, just fucking slapped it out of the air, just like, no.
And then you're like digging a hole right now and like to throw it even further.
And you're just going, it's like, and Victor's just going, what are you doing? We're on the same team. I'm helping.
Oh.
All right, on with it, Churba. Since you've broken the illusion, get on with it.
Yes. But anyway, as you may remember, Ryan Bundy of the fucking National Wildlife Refuge Siege is in fucking jail. And in just when last week you thought it couldn't get any dumber when claiming that all of the spare food, clothes, and fucking ropes made out of torn bed sheets that he was stashing were perfectly innocent because he's a rancher who likes to prepare and he's just practicing braiding rope. As if you don't just have rope in your cell. Has now come to his own defense with the following statement, which I will read verbatim. I, Ryan C., lowercase r, lowercase c, man, am an idiot of the legal society, in quotes, and I am an idiot, bracket, layman, comma, outsider, close, of the Bar Association, and I am incompetent, and I am not required by any law to be competent.
All right. So should we bestow upon him the rank and privileges of being Captain Obvious?
Oh, it gets even better. His filing is like full of random weirdness of like sovereign citizen fucking arguments about how he's gonna charge $100 fucking million if any man, woman, or person in all caps for some reason, places another order for me to come before the court regarding this matter. He's demanding he should be paid $800 million. For some reason, he has a philosophical objection to capital letters. Because practically every name and instance of I is like lowercase, which is a big Freeman on the Land thing. And he's gone full crazy person, and it's amazing. And this is also, I might add, the same guy who literally said that, literally tried to file suit that his constitutional rights were being infringed because they were not letting him have guns in jail.
Wait
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Sovereign citizens? Is he expecting us to treat him, a sovereign citizen, as if he has all the full constitutional rights. He's a
Yeah,
sovereign citizen.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
technically, he doesn't have a Second Amendment right, right?
Right.
Oh, and also, just as a little side note, every single page of his legal filing, which is, by the way, literally nonsense from start to finish. Like it's
Is in Comic Sans.
Oh no, it's full of clip art. On every page, he has stuck a clip art of a flag on the fucking page with "Notice the Master's flag" written beneath it.
What?
And he's like declaring himself immune to all of this other bullshit. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It is the most insane thing I've ever read. And I fucking looked at that time cube shit.
I followed Trump for a week.
Oh, dude. I was and am still technically dabbling as a political journalist, man. Like, just when you think shit can't get weirder, it always does. I was there for Abbott and his fucking 26 flag speech. And hey, look on the bright side. At least Trump's flags are all digital on a fucking screen. He's not spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars on fucking flags to stick behind him at press conferences. At one point, the joke down here about government press conferences was the more flags it has is the more serious it is.
It's true.
So people started rating it by flags, like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, this is only a 4-flagger.
Oh, the one where Hillary Clinton was behind like 18 flags at one point. Not at the convention, but something like before that. And you're just like, whoa, it must be serious.
Okay.
People were laying bets on when they were going to have so many flags on the stage that Abbott would just have to have his speech from a separate location.
All right. We're gonna end this episode, and we're gonna end it on a high note, and that high note is the childlike wonder displayed by Bill Clinton upon all the balloons in the DNC being dropped.
I was looking for this link to end the
goodness.
podcast as well.
He is.
Do not love anything as much as Bill Clinton fucking loves balloons.
Oh my God, no. Bill can't believe his luck. He gets to play with these balloons. Bill gets to kick one. Bill throws one. He holds one. He shows the world that he's holding a balloon.
Wow,
Bill is happy.
I did not see this breakdown of pictures.
Bill can't believe his luck with the balloons. He tries to kick a bunch of little ones. Then he stands there sad because balloon time is coming to an end. But don't worry. He took one for the road. Sorry, little girl. That's Bill's balloon.
I fully believe he took that home with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, at some point after you've been president of the United States, you kind of just don't give a fuck anymore. I mean, come on.
You think maybe he has a bouncy castle? That way he can be in a balloon.
If I was an ex-president of the United States, I would have a bouncy castle.
Okay, by the way, like in that last GIF, that guy that President Clinton kind of walks next to when he's taking the balloon away from the little girl, who's that guy who looks like a fucking cross between Bill Nye and Gary Busey?
I have no idea.
Is he just a Secret Service bro, or is he
I think
a
he
party
might be a
official?
I think he might be a Secret Service bro.
It's hard to tell. I mean, the guy next to him is obvious because he is the size of a mountain and has an obvious shoulder holster.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, most likely then. Hey, can I just throw in like a real quick statement that I thought was really funny from the Hillary Clinton speech that I mean I feel remiss not talking about, which is she laughed at herself when she said I believe in science, because she had to say that in a speech to the Democratic Party because it's not apparent in American politics that politicians believe in science.
Considering that a lot of people on the Bernie side are turning away and going like, well, I'm going to vote for Jill Stein, who is literally insane. So, yeah, I can kind of believe that.
I just find it funny that she had to be like, I believe in science, and then like laughed Like
Oh.
you're just like yeah. I mean,
Why did I just? It's like, why did I have to say that just now?
Because
Also,
the
if,
flip side was at the RNC, they were talking about how, like, oh, well, crime is actually down. It's like, well, Americans don't feel that crime is down. It's like,
Well,
but
who the
it
fuck
doesn't
cares
matter.
what Americans feel?
Well, they don't feel that it's down, so it's not true.
dude, they took a poll on whether the United States has the most powerful army in the world, or the military in the world, and a majority of the people that answered said that we did not have the most powerful military in the world.
They're
Like,
out of their fucking mind.
Like, it doesn't matter what you feel about it. Like, it's just not true. Like, I don't.
It wasn't about women's rights. The
destroy
question that the
fucking planet
NPR
in hours. What the fuck is wrong with you?
it wasn't about women's rights. The question that the NPR and the PBS people were like losing their minds about. They were interviewing on whether or not was about the crime statistics, about people feeling that crime was worse. That was the one they were like looking at people like, "Are you fucking jamoke?"
yeah.
No, but
who was
God,
it? Was
there's
it
so
Mike
many.
Huckabee and NPR, and they were just.
I could go on forever because like they were going around the RNC and asking them about the economy, and they would be like, "How's the economy in your area?" And the person everybody they talked to said it's going great here, but it's terrible everywhere else. It's like,
Also,
ugh.
as a final note, if you can't get your jollies from the pure, unadulterated joy of an ex-president encountering balloons for the first time,
It's like, didn't
then
they have
please-
those in '92?
no, balloons were only invented last year.
Yes.
Instead, get your joy from the pure, unadulterated schadenfreude of watching Scott Adams just get fucking roasted by everybody. Because he is, like, there's no way to describe it other than that he hated the DNC convention because he felt that having women have speeches was sucking out his testosterone through the TV.
Wait, what? Are you kidding me?
Well, I'm exaggerating slightly, but let me just very quickly, as fast as I can, read one statement from the blog post that
I'll
I'll
put a
link you
link
in
too,
second.
why don't you?
Let me say this again so you know I'm not kidding. Based on what I know about the human body and the way our thoughts regulate our hormones, the Democratic National Convention is probably lowering testosterone levels all over the country, literally, not figuratively. And since testosterone is the feel-good chemical for men, I think the Democratic Convention is making men feel less happy. They might not know why they feel less happy, but they will start to associate low feeling with whatever they are looking at when it happens, i.e. Clinton.
Scott Adams, you don't even know why you feel less happy. You think you know, but you don't know.
And he also made the statement on Twitter, if any experience is necessary for being president, name a political topic I can't master in 1 hour under the tutelage of top experts. And the two best ones of the best roasts I've seen since was Rich Kianka, also known as Lotax from Something Awful, pointed out humility. To which Scott Adams claimed he only wanted to learn useful things, and yeah, that would be pretty useful for everyone else on the planet.
Yeah.
And then Bill Kristol, neoconservative, useless bastard,
Usually wrong about everything.
pretty much everything, also replied to his claim about which topic he might need to master with tweeting, which is a burn so severe scientists thought it may actually set the atmosphere on fire and kill us all.
Oh man,
Yes,
it's just
Scott Adams is a fucking lunatic.
it is amazing. I think I was talking to Rim a couple days ago, and he just said it is amazing how many crazy stories have come out of the last 2 weeks. Like just every single day, there is so much news and so much crazy shit that Trump is saying that we just can't keep up, and we just forget. Like there's stuff that occurred like a couple months ago that probably would cause us all to be outraged, but we've all forgotten because it just gets rolled over by the next thing that's crazier that comes up.
Hey, does anyone else remember the fact that the biggest bribery scandal in modern history broke like 4 months ago?
Oh yeah, the Panama Papers?
No.
Or no, was it
Before
Panama?
that. No, the
It was
Unioil scandal.
No, I didn't even
The
know about that one.
what?
Yeah, the Unioil scandal is literally the biggest bribery scandal in modern history. People
Oh, wait a
forgot
minute, that
about
was
it
in
within
Brazil.
a week.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, so Cherba, that's not U.S. news. We don't care.
We don't care.
If it's happening to brown people, we don't
Dude,
care.
we care about the U.S.
Turkey
we care
had
about we care about the UK because the
Yeah, we care about the
politicians
UK.
tried some stupid gambit and it didn't work the way they expected, and we care about Australia because, quite frankly, you guys are a combination of both awesome and insane. So
No, Turkey has a coup. Like one of our major NATO allies has a coup, and then starts purging people out, and we forget about them the second, like Trump says something, and you don't even hear anything about what's going on in Turkey at all at this
Oh
point.
yeah. Speaking of which, remember WikiLeaks? During these mass purges, they kind of doxed practically every woman in Turkey. Many of them dissidents.
Yeah. Yeah, WikiLeaks. I mean, WikiLeaks is a whole other topic that we could spend another 20 minutes on this show talking about. There's just so much stuff.
Can we not
much.
though? Not
Yeah,
this
no,
episode.
I
Can we-
understand.
I think Victor's
I
blood
know.
sugar is.
Yeah, Victor's like, God, I gotta eat. It's just no. I'm just saying, there's so many topics going on right now that are just so like we're just touching on the American politics, and then there's like all these freaking international issues that are going on at the same time.
One episode about alcohol in between talking about politics, and we have fallen so far behind.
Hey, I wasn't on the show for like 3 weeks, so I figured you'd avoided top politics during that whole time.
No.
So yeah, we'll end it here. That's cool. I have stuff that I can talk about that real quick, like endorsements or whatever we normally do at the end of the show.
Well, thank you everybody for being on the show. You will hear from us next week on Friday Night Party Line. Until
before
then.
we go.
Oh, fuck off. What?
Make sure you brush your teeth before bed.
This episode is brought to you by Sky Vodka, which is what I've been drinking this whole show. I just finished this bottle.
If looks could kill, the look Victor gave me a second ago through the internet would have made me just explode messily. Like fucking
Okay, so good night to thank you to Skojo, George, and you'll hear from us next week on the Friday Night Party Line.
Aw.